If you can go out here and make over $20,000 a month wholesaling vacant land, and knowing that it's actually easier than wholesaling regular houses, there's less competition, it's way less complex, and you can get started really by the end of this video on wholesaling vacant lots, infill lots, vacant pieces of land in your own real estate wholesaling market, what would you do if you were able to make over $20,000 every single month doing this strategy? Now, I'm not going to be the man out here telling you that I am the foremost, largest expert out here in the world when it comes to wholesaling vacant land. There are more people on the internet that have probably made more money wholesaling vacant land than me. But there's one thing that these people have not done, and they have not taught more people than me to make 6 figures wholesaling vacant land. Now, I am a wholesaler for real estate, properties, houses first and foremost. I would say over 90% of my deals are gonna be regular wholesaling regular houses. But a decent percent, and I would probably call it under 5%, are vacant land deals. And this because I just scatter my direct mail, we scatter our cold calling, just our texting, like all of our marketing, and some of these are just vacant land deals. And I think a lot of wholesalers, they find vacant land and they get upset, they get scared, they feel like, oh my gosh, what do I do? And the honest truth here is like, it's not that complicated. And really, to be frank, as someone that's made millions of dollars wholesaling land, you guys probably think I was gonna say $1 million wholesaling house. No, I've done that. But I've made millions of dollars wholesaling vacant land too. It's way easier than regular houses. Now, as somebody that wants to make millions upon millions and millions and millions and millions a year, houses are the way to go. But for everybody watching this, like a lot of guys are neglecting land. And I do see some people go, oh, I'm just going to do only land. Now, I'm not telling you to do all this crazy stuff, right? All these hype things, but just to add land to your arsenal of what to do, it complements it, right? So if like you have a burger or a hot dog, they're great by themselves. Let's add some French fries, man. It makes the meal so much better. Like a nice steak. Yeah, I can eat a nice thing of steak, but you got some nice potatoes on the side, a little bit of gravy, like it just makes it better, right? And that is the point. And so land is gonna be a thing that really can help us push an extra deal a month, a deal every other month, or just maybe an extra 50 grand this year on top of what you're making in regular houses that help you out. Because once you're on this journey in wholesaling real estate, when you start finding deals, land deals are gonna hop on, they're just gonna hop on your lap. You do enough marketing. If you do enough JV deals and more wholesalers come after you and they try to give you opportunities, land opportunities are gonna come. And I see a lot of wholesalers come out here, and especially when I first started doing JVing, I started getting a bunch of land deals sent in because virtual wholesalers go crazy with this stuff. And they started doing well with it and started making a ton of money. And so what I wanna do today is really give you a full step-by-step tutorial on how you can start wholesaling vacant land. I promise you it's not as complicated as you think. This is gonna be a slightly different process than wholesaling houses, but it's wholesaling real estate first and foremost, so it's gonna be good. So let's talk about the first thing and probably one of the most important things about wholesaling land. It's like, what's the difference between wholesaling land and wholesaling real estate? And I'm gonna say something that is going to really mess up a lot of people's brains. Wholesaling vacant land, legally speaking, let's talk about legally speaking, is pretty much identical to wholesaling houses. It's true. And what I mean by this is when I'm wholesaling a house, I'm not just wholesaling the house, like the brick and the mortar and all that, right? What I'm doing is I'm wholesaling the land owned underneath the house and whatever's on that property, right? And so there's there's brick and mortar, there's a roof on the house, right? There's a septic system, right? Anything on that piece of land on top of it, that's why we have deeds, and the deed doesn't talk about the house. The deed talks about the plot of land. Whatever's on that house, whatever's on that land, that's with it too, right? And so even if you look at property appraisers, right, they separate the land values from the house values. And so this is really important to know that like the process is the same, right? We write up contracts and we sell the contract. The purchase and sale agreement still has the address, still has the legal description. It's very, very similar and very easy. And so this is why, like, this is the perfect tutorial for anyone watching this to get into wholesaling vacant land. And so let's talk about this. Let's have a nice conversation about how you can get rich wholesaling vacant land. Average Drew's gonna charge you a $10,000 seminar type thing here. You know me, I gotta get it to you for free. So let's talk about this and make it easier for you. So number one, I will tell you this, and this is a controversial statement, but I'll stand by it. Wholesaling vacant land is easier than wholesaling houses. Pretty simple, right? Number two here, we got to know the pitfalls of lands first and foremost. Because I think a lot of people watch these land wholesaling videos and they get, oh, it's all I'm gonna do. And they don't really see the pitfalls or the issues. And from my experience, there are certain things on land deals that just come from wisdom and doing millions of dollars of assignment fees when it comes to vacant land. So let's kind of talk about some pitfalls we gotta look out for and things that no one really talks about, but it is very important. And so first and foremost, let's talk about really quick. I know this is boring, blah. If you don't know this, you ain't gonna make the money. So first and foremost, environmental hazards, all right? So environmental hazards are gonna be issues with the land that no one talks about. And so I love Breaking Bad because stuff like this is in it. And this was right before I got into real estate, like just stuff you gotta know. But like, for example, if I once did a real estate land deal on it was like a kind of a commercial property, and there used to be a gas station there next door, and the gas station leaked. And I'm not the environmental engineer, the civil engineer, so don't quote me on this, but pretty much the gas pump leaked into the adjacent property, and basically the soil had gasoline in it, and it was this environmental hazard, and you couldn't really build anything on it. And that was a huge issue. And some sellers are gonna think you're stupid and try to sell you the land for top dollar and not tell you that's gonna happen. And really, unless you do a survey or you really do some research on it, any buyer and their mom's gonna do that, right? And figure it out. But there's just certain things you should know, right? And so I see with a lot of vacant land too, it depends where in the United States you live in, but there are wildlife issues. What I mean by this, pretty much, let's use Florida, for example. There's these burrowing owls and burrowing turtles that are protected. And if the state finds out that a endangered animal, any of those animals or any other ones, I'm not the expert again on this, basically if they find that animal's there, you can't do any construction on the house unless you pay, it's like $500 to $1,000, and I could be wrong on this, right, to move the animal to another place and then build on that. But if you build with the turtle or whatever on it, you can get fined tens of thousands of dollars from the Florida Wildlife Commission and all these crazy things. And it's as simple as just going there or just having someone go by there and looking at it or bring it to a buyer. And these are just small little things, but if you don't know what you're doing on there, sellers try to take advantage of you with these situations, and you just got to understand this, right? It's like someone putting in a car or a used car dealership and then the transmission's shot and they're trying to act like you don't know that, right? Drives me crazy. So soil studies too. Sometimes there's certain soil issues that mess up things. That's really most of the boring stuff you have to know about. But these are things you should look out for with these type of pieces of land. Now, other cons of wholesaling vacant land. I will be honest with you. There is less deals and less buyers for these. Now, did I say it was harder? No. It's wholesaling vacant land is easier, but you will be doing less vacant land deals than wholesaling real houses deals. And it's kind of math. But because there's less vacant lots than there is nice houses investors are attracted to, there's also gonna be less cash buyers wanting to buy these. And we'll get to more on the buyer side, but most cash buyers for vacant land, they're there to buy the land for only one reason. And same thing with cash buyers for houses. Money, right? They're only looking to buy the vacant land to make money. And so if I'm to buy a piece of vacant land, how can I make money on this, right? I can buy it and hopefully it appreciates over time. You gotta be in downtown emerging city that's being gentrified. That's one area I think a lot of people do. I know it's controversial to say, but that's where a lot of people do it because they know the value will go up 8% a year on a high end. Some areas in Austin are like this, right? A hot part of Houston that still has vacant land on it, that they're building shops and all these things that people like to buy that and land bank it. There are buyers like this that these are 2-3% of buyers, but most cash buyers for vacant land, and these are gonna be the people that you're gonna be dealing with, are gonna be people who are builders, right? These are people that are building houses on top of the vacant land. What they do is they buy the land from you, they build a nice, beautiful house, they sell the house, they make their profit. Right? Pretty simple. There's not cash buyers, but they just build the house, right? They don't fix the house, they build the house. And the cool part about this is finding buyers for vacant land is super easy. It's a joke how easy it is for most vacant land deals. But the issue is if you don't have the buyers set, though, it's easy to find the buyers, but if you don't have the buyers set, you're gonna be screwed. I'll be completely honest with you. So make sure you get the buyers ready so you can actually go out here and do vacant land deals. It's important, guys. Go out here and do it. Now, on top of this too, if you are doing vacant land, you are gonna be missing on potential deals. Cannot stress this enough, all right? If you're only doing vacant land, all right, you're gonna miss opportunities to do regular houses. So I think you should do both. But hey, if you only wanna do vacant land, go do it. But you gotta understand this. Now let's talk about some of the pros on this, right? Again, there's gonna be less competition with vacant land. I think this is a really important point, but there are less wholesalers going after vacant land. And the biggest reason, in my opinion, is just there's less knowledge on how to do it, which I think is smart. If you ever wonder why probates are one of the best lists to be going after, because there's just less knowledge of what to do with a probate. And most importantly, there's less competition with vacant land. Most wholesalers don't know what to do. They don't know what to do with it. They don't know how to do with the buyers. They don't know what to do with the title companies. When really, like, walking a buyer through a vacant piece of land is like, just go buy it, John. You know, like, duh, right? It's not hard. And it just drives me crazy when I see that. There's just way less competition. On top of this too, there is just way less complexities with vacant land, right? It's just way more simple. And so if I want to walk through a buyer through, you're good to go, right? If I'm virtually wholesaling and I'm talking to a vacant land seller, oh, you have this piece of land. Oh, okay. MCTP, right? Why are you looking to sell it? Okay, well, let me go out here and see it. It's a good time for me to go meet you at the house. Oh, you're out of state, or can I go by and see it? Sure. You don't have to even ask to go see. You just drive by. Like, is she sitting on the vacant land 24 hours a day? No. And so you can go there, see the vacant house, wink, wink, wink. You can bring like 15, 20 buyers through the vacant land. It's like you get unlimited tries. It's better than a stinking lockbox on here. You get the deal done. It's way less complex, it's way more simple, and you can make a ton of more money. So go be doing it, right? On top of this too, it's easier to pull these lists. We'll talk about land lists in a second, but land's great. Even if you've done no deals, like, a lot of people get their first deal doing this, and it's kind of crazy for me. Like, I haven't made this video on the Zackin YouTube channel or on the Flip channel in a while on vacant land, but like, I'm getting more and more of these beginner wholesalers making 6 figures wholesaling vacant land, like from freeholding.com, posting it like land deal here, land deal there. And we do have land in freeholding.com, so the knowledge is getting better. But I'll just be honest with you guys, like, pretty much any piece of vacant land content when it comes to learning how to do it properly, they're all behind $10,000 paywalls. Like, when I was getting started wholesaling land, I'll be honest with you, like, I didn't know much. Rick had the information, but like, everything was a $10,000 course back then. Still is basically now, unless you go to freeholding.com. So that's why I think it's very important. Now, there's some people teaching it for free now, which I'm a big fan of. And really, I think the best education on vacant land is just hearing me interview people that have done really well with it. I think I have multiple people on the Flip YouTube channel on the podcast section doing well. They all learn, guess what? From freeholding.com. They all learn from the same principles I tell you today, because it's not that complicated. You go out here, you pull a list, you talk to them, you see when they sell it, virtually do the wholesaling, or go in person and get the contract signed, then bring the buyers through and get it sold. These builders want to buy. Like, the builders are ramping up, right? And so we are hopefully seeing in the next 24 months some more interest rate cuts. I know we've been told at least 2, 3, maybe 4 rate cuts in the next 24 months, hopefully. We should see the economy hopefully working a little better. We're going to see more builders rising. Just looking at the data, building is popping off a little better. So it should be easier to go out here and do these deals. It's another big reason why I'm making this video today. It's not complicated, all right? Pull list, a couple softwares, that's all you need. Now, it's kind of harder to do vacant land, like with $0. You can do it, but it gets more difficult. Now, I'll say for virtual wholesalers watching this too, this is an absolutely amazing strategy. And for virtual wholesalers that go out here and they have all this anxiety of how to actually go out here and talk to the seller or do walkthroughs. And I mean, I don't know how you get any easier on a walkthrough than a piece of land. Things just sitting there. Like, what else are you gonna do, right? And so for virtual wholesalers, this is simple, right? And I love it because like the skills are gonna translate to wholesaling houses too on top of this. This is not talked about at all either. But the skills of wholesaling vacant land and the skills of wholesaling houses, they're pretty much intertwined. The MCTP, talking to the seller, building a strong rapport, getting the deal locked up, doing the buyer walkthrough, the assignment of contract, getting a title company. Pretty much the same process. Simple, right? Duh. So the skills translate really, really well. And so that's why I think it's really important. Now, let's kind of talk about exactly the lists. What are the best type of vacant land? What's the best type of lots to be going after, right? And let's kind of break this all down right now. Now, personally, I know I make wholesaling so stinking stupid. It's simple. But number one, what's the best vacant land to be going after? It's desirable. I know let's kind of talk about this for a second, right? Why is that so simple to say? But like, you want to go after desirable areas for land. And what I mean by this is the biggest rookie mistake I see from new wholesalers is they'll go to PropStreamListREI.com, they'll go to DMZac.com, they'll go to ZacData.com, whatever software service you use to get your land data, right? And what they do is they just they click because the filters are there. And I'm not saying anything bad about the software companies. I love them, but like they make it too easy for like the average wholesaler just started like a week ago, where they'll go and click vacant land and then they go pull a list and call it or something, right? And they'll go lock it up and they'll say, I got a land land deal locked up, Zach. Great, where is it? And let's use Phoenix, Arizona, for example, right? They'll tell me, oh, it's near Phoenix. I'm like, oh, okay, perfect. And what they mean by that is it's like 500 miles north of Phoenix in the middle of the desert. And like, well, it's near Phoenix, but it's 500 miles north, and there's not a local gas station 90 miles away from the place. And it's literally the middle of a desert right next to a Native American reservation. And like, there's no one living on the reservation anymore. And I've had ghost towns, and I've had no city lights. There's no stop signs for like 100-mile radius. It's like, what? It's land though. This isn't desirable. For example, like if I'm going to, let's use an easier example, right? And so I think something a lot of people can understand here. Let's use a bigger, decent city. All right. Like, let's use a bigger, decent city. Let's use, what's a nice, decent city that I can do for people? Let's do Birmingham, Alabama. All right. There's a lot of good land deals in Birmingham. A lot of people know about Birmingham, or in any southern city, like a city, right? Over 100,000 people in it. If you go like 30 miles north, southeast, or west from a city, especially in the South, there's it gets real country, okay? Yeehaw, it gets real yeehaw country out there, right? The American flag starts switching to other things. That's how you know. And what I mean by that is you get 50 miles out of Birmingham, right? There's some decent areas, but there's areas out there in the South where there's 500 people living in the city, and they all own well water and all these things. It's the issue is, yeah, you have a piece of land out here and there's not a local street light for 5 miles. If I'm a builder, if all these houses are trailer parks and $25,000, $30,000, really cheap old houses from the 20s, why am I going to build a 2024, or if I take a year or two, 2025, 2026, brand new, elegant, concrete masonry, freshly made house, and try to sell that right next to the $20,000 trailer park? As a builder, that makes no sense. And there's going to be no hookup for the water. It's going to be what I want to do instead is if I'm in Birmingham, have a vacant piece of land that's near some other houses, that's kind of near a good school or something. And boom, that thing can sell in easy, right? But those real country places out here that don't meet my criteria for a good virtual wholesaling market, those don't get sold quick and easy. And so the biggest misconception for vacant land is you guys try to do any land. I hate to be honest. I'll be honest with you. I think most Americans live within a city. And if you really look at a map of areas in the United States of America that nobody lives in, it's an insane large amount, okay? Nobody's living in Death Valley in California. Not a lot. I guess there's some, but not a lot, right? Or in the crazy plains out there in Montana, not many people are living in Montana. They're in big cities, I guess big, but it's so vacant land in desirable areas. This is the key. And this thing nobody talks about. It's your $10,000 course is going to be doing it, right? Very important. So one term that I think beginners don't know, and this was a very, very, very important term, are going to be a term called infill lots. Now, let me kind of get my computer ready and show you what an infill lot looks like. So let's grab the computer here for a second. Okay, so let's kind of show what an infill lot looks like. Just get a quick little picture of it to make life a little easier for you. So this is what an infill lot looks like. So we know kind of when you're driving for dollars, this is a great opportunity for anyone watching this. But this is what an infill lot looks like, right? It's kind of you see house, and then you see this piece of empty land, right? No one's built on this land, right? A lot of people have infill lots are bigger than you think, really. Here's another one, right? You see house, just a piece of land right there, right? Get some trees, some brush, right? This is huge real estate right here. And these lots get big premiums. And these are the ones where you can start making not just $2,000, you make 20 grand a month on just one deal doing something like this. And so I absolutely love infill lots. Let's kind of look here, any more pictures. This is not bad. You see there's no houses near that. That's just a little different, right? Right, I don't really see a good picture here. This is another one, right? You see house, and there's a piece of land right here. These are good areas to be going after, right? You see here, if I build a piece of land right here, people are gonna buy it, right? And I'll be honest with you. Here's another video, would that be, if there's houses here, sure. But you just got to be careful. You got to make sure this road has there's hookups for the electric and the water, and they usually are. But what I mean by this is These infill lots, I didn't believe this starting out, and maybe I'm just stupid, but you might be thinking of the same thing. When I learned about infill lots, I'm like, there can't be a lot of those in my city. There can't be a lot of these on it. I went and looked on it. Woo! There's a lot of infill lots, like a lot. And it's crazy to me that there's that much. You'll be surprised. There is a ton of infill lots out here in the United States of America, and it's pretty shocking when you go and see it. So I will argue with a lot of people, but these are one of the most attractive areas for wholesaling vacant land that nobody ever talks about. So wholesaling infill lots, definitely think about it. It's an amazing strat. It's just one of the best ways to do it, right? And really in general, if you find any areas that I call these buildable and flippable houses, where if I could build in this, is it buildable and is it flippable, right? Most of these are gonna be squares or rectangles for real estate, right? And so if the piece of land is in like a rectangular or a square, it should be fine to build a house. There are some land out here, and you'll find this, maybe more experience. They're in like triangles and trapezoids, and they're all messed up angles. If I can't really make a house to build it and I can't just flip it or sell it quick, it's probably not a good vacant land deal. And you're gonna slowly figure out when I'm saying this, it's like, yeah, there's 20,000 vacant lots in my city, but if I bring it down to these zip codes or areas where there's some population going on, it really gets filtered down to like 2, 3, or 4,000 at most. And that's kind of the point. You're not going to cold call 20,000 leads. Like you might even only get, for some cities, you might only get 500, 600, 700 of these. And that's the point. These are going to be the French fries of the meal. Like it's not the meal. I don't go to dinner and I only ask for French fries. Okay. It ain't loaded French fries or freedom fries, right? These are going to be just regular French fries on the side of my burger. It ain't the burger, it's the fries. And so they're not going to be that big. And a lot of people get upset at me like, Zach, I did your criteria, but there's not enough. It's like, yeah, French fries aren't supposed to fill you up all the way. And so you can't. Now, there are some people that decide they're going to do those type of slight slim criterias in every city in a county, and then every city in a zip code, and every city for the entire state. And they're virtual, so they can do it, and they become experts at it, and they become really good, and they crush it, and they do absolutely amazing. But for just doing your city where you're wholesaling at, this is an amazing way to do it. And so I get a lot of wholesalers asking me about land, how to do this. It's very important. The next one here is city water. You want to make sure that you can actually put city water on it. Yeah, you could put well only. I'm not a fan of well water. I don't think you get the right premium for a lot of places. Just have the city utility do it and you should be good to go. I know a lot of you guys trying to get water shut off the list. The utility company is not your favorite, but you should be good to go. And so one of my favorite softwares for finding this, I personally found dmzac.com and listrai.com to be the best. Zacdata.com is really good too. I'm only adding dmzac.com out here because I think the skip tracing is really good. Now let's move. All right. So yeah, dmzac.com and listrai.com are my top ones I'm going to say right now. But how do you reach out to these people? Like once you start pulling the list and using them, I'm telling you, vacant land, info lots, they usually have the filters on there. I know zacdata.com is really good at that too. But really, how do you reach out to these people, right? I would say it's not going to be as complicated as you want to make it. I know a lot of people think, oh, I do Facebook ads for land. And that stuff ain't going to work. You're going to have to do a pinpointed approach, not a general bandit sign approach for this type of stuff, especially when doing vacant land. So cold calling, SMS text blasting, and I'm not going to say direct mail unless you're like doing well with it. What you can do is send sticky notes to the owners of the vacant land and just pretend like you wanted to buy their house and say, well, no, you're not looking to sell your spot. Do you have any other piece of property you're looking to buy? I mean, for example, here, me and my partner, we build homes too on top of land. You do have a piece of land. Oh, wow. And then you just go into conversation there and boom, you get the deal, right? There's a lot of ways to skin the cat here. And the point is there's less competition with these. So you should be able to get good deals doing this, especially who's reverse trying for dollars landowners anymore? They're not. So you want to start doing it. Now, again, these vacant land buyers, should you get the buyer first or should you not? It's ultimately up to you. I get a lot of conflicting opinions from people what to do. If you are so scared right now to wholesale vacant land, I would say just get the buyer first. I would probably argue for most people getting a buyer first is going to be your best bet. I used to say that a lot too, and I'm probably going to stick to that. It's not like it's not a wholesaling rule. I'm not going to give it to you, but it is good for most people to first and foremost go to the land buyer, say, hey, what's your buy box? What's your criteria? Where are you looking to buy vacant land? Because you'll find most buyers and be like, I don't want to do here, not here, but I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll do this, and I'll do that. It's like, oh, Okay, makes sense, right? And so you're gonna find your buyers are gonna only want quarter acre lots or maybe a third of a lot, so 0.33 acres, or maybe half a acre lots or full acre lots. And they want to build them in nice, desirable areas that are in this school district or X, Y, and Z. Now, me, I don't build homes, okay? Unless I'm gonna live there, I ain't building it. And so I've dealt with some hassles of building houses before personally. It's not and that's just me just being the buyer, right? Like, I'm building a house. It's not the process of going out here and doing it like as a business sense, hiring the men to go out here or the women to go out here and lay the concrete, build the stone masonry, go out here and make the roofings all good, put the ceiling in the attic and the roof. That ain't me. Okay, I'm never I've told you this. I'm not the expert on this. I know all about it just from flipping houses now, but I ain't gonna be the guy that's gonna go out here and, hate to say it, be like the expert on building. And so what I do is I just ask the builders what they want and I just give it to them. Okay. That's it. Simple as that. And so these buyers are going to be land bankers. Like I said, they buy a piece of land, they bank on it to appreciate and it goes up, or they're looking to build on the house. So how do I find these type of buyers? Now there's two ways to do this. Number one, you can go to cash sales for vacant land. So go into dmzac.com, listarea.com, dmzac.com, listarea.com, zacdata.com, go to cash sales, go to vacant land, and you'll see a list of people that bought vacant land for cash. And you can go further in the filterings on this. So one thing I like to do is go to cash sales. I go to people that have bought vacant land in the past 6 months. They bought vacant land for cash in the past 6 months, and they currently own over 4 properties. Let's do 5. And you're gonna find a lot of bigger corporations that are buying pieces of vacant land. Now, hedge funds don't really do this. Okay, so I think a lot of people are, you're only going to hedge funds. Not many hedge funds land bank, all right, unless it's something crazy or they're going to build something. What you're going to find is a lot of big builders do this. And they're going to be localized builders. And so let's talk about, D.R. Horton, Pulte Homes. These are national builders that are multi-billion-dollar corporations. They're not going to be the people you're going to be talking about because those type of people, they go and build a house, all right? And they'll build a community of 1,000 houses. Now, once you start getting the big boy game, you get the big boy chair on, you start riding the bull, and stuff like that. That's a bigger game. That's not a game I'm talking about right now. What I'm talking about is localized home builders for like a state or a section of your state, right? And so like there's an area from basically, I would say Flagler Beach, or was that Ormond Beach up there, Daytona area, all the way down to like Port St. Lucie. There's a big builder everyone knows about there that basically all they do is build in that area. And they do some in Orlando, and they're kind of a more smaller corporation, so you can deal with someone. They've bought a ton of houses from me before because they're more individual. I kind of have someone there I can talk to and just say, hey, I'm actually a wholesaler looking to sell my vacant land contracts to. So someone here in acquisitions I can talk about or talk to. And usually, I've never heard of wholesaling, blah, blah, blah. And then they might go to the higher up and have a conversation about that. But really, it's kind of like working with a hedge fund. And once you get an acquisitions department or someone who's in charge of acquiring new places to go build, they love it. They're great. They pay cash. They do their own thing. Now, a lot of these bigger corporations are going to do surveys and X, Y, and Z and all these complicated things. You don't need to know about that stupid stuff. Just worry about getting the property under contract. They do their thing. They do their own due diligence, see if they like it or not, and you're good to go. So cash sales for land's not too difficult to do. You can call land builders, or basically home builders in your area. Don't do any like private engineers. Like, do actually people that build houses and they do it for a profit, not for someone else, or they're not architects. There's another way to do it. Facebook's a good area too. Always vet these people out, see how many properties they're buying. But it's really hard to get screwed from someone that doesn't. If they bought from other wholesalers before, you're gonna be fine. Now, the last thing we have to talk about here, and the thing I think is very complicated for most people, but these are going to be land offers. Now, land offers aren't really that hard. And I hate to say this, but comps for land are pretty stupid. And what I mean by this is pieces of land are very unique, obviously. And the biggest issue with comps for land is there's not many comps for out. I mean, heck, I think most wholesalers can agree to me here, but there's not a lot of comps for houses in general in a regular area, right? If you look at like past 3 months, land's even worse. It's like, yeah, I have a quarter acre lot here, but like, what are these quarter acre lots going for? It's very hard to find a very close, similar one, especially. There are some good comps, So unless you have a very, 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 very good comp, it's going to be very difficult. And so what I like doing is getting a rough value of it and trying to offer as low as I can. I hate to tell you, like, I try to get a value in my head on a piece of land and offer 30, maybe 35, 40% of what I perceive the value of it to be, because I have always tend to overshoot on these. So now I undershoot most of them, and I just negotiate that. Here's the thing with land. All right. If you can get a deal that you think is worth 200, offer 40. Like, I know that sounds stupid for me to say, just offer it. They might, I gotta do 70. Well, you do like 48. And just go from negotiate. Like, the worst thing you can do with a piece of land is get it under contract and you don't find a buyer and you get out of the deal, right? Now, I'm not telling you to go do that. What I can tell you is just see what you can, because the land value is, a lot of wholesalers will go lock it up for what they perceive that 200 to be. And really, your builders are only one of buying that thing at 60 or 50. And you're like, wow, so I'm very good at finding comps for houses and being accurate. So I give nice, fair offers where I can make money. They're happy with it. But for land, I've had very terrible luck of just thinking it's worth more and getting burned on deals. So now I'm just super low with it. And whatever the buyer wants to buy it for, I'm happy with it. And so I've had deals where you can make 40, 50 grand on land. And I've had deals where I made 5 grand on land. It really depends. I'll tell you, Texas is probably the best state for vacant land wholesaling still to this day, because some of these places still have 4 or 5 acre lots you can wholesale. And there's big corporations. You got environment. I'm not even getting into this right now, but like, there's environmental rights. There's oil rights. And I've seen some people, especially the Houston, Harris County area, there's big money there. I know people making millions wholesaling vacant land in that area too. Now, there's some big boy pants you got to put on to do stuff like that, but it's amazing. There's a lot of deals to be made there. So what I can tell you is just do it. And what I think is really important here is just making sure you go out here and lock the property up for the lowest you can, the piece of land, having your buyers already set, walking them through, doing the assignment of contract, and just doing wholesaling the same way you're used to. Find the builders, you're good to go. It's not that complicated. Guys, I have more information about this if you want at my free real estate wholesaling course. It's called freewholesaling.com, and I'll teach you how to wholesale real estate absolutely free so you can become a millionaire or make hundreds of thousands of dollars wholesaling real estate and